Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
Hi, this is Ed Cohen, and welcome to Global TV Talk Show. This is a business unit of globalbusinessnews.net. Google Analytics has been measuring our audience worldwide, although most of it is, say, 70% is US, Canada, Latin America, 20% Europe, 9% Asia Pacific, 1% approximately Middle East and Africa. So since we began Global TV Talk Show in late March of 2020, Google Analytics has tracked a little over 100,000 reader page views. And it's because of the growing popularity of Global TV Talk Show. So thank you for tuning in. We have a special broadcast today from Monaco. Monaco's its own country, but it's down on the French Riviera, Monaco. And our special guest is Christine Morlet, who's French and is one of the world's most accomplished public speakers. And in France, she was the first ever recipient of a special business designation called Certified Speaker. And she was the first recipient, the first woman recipient as well. And to this day, sometime later in history, she's still doing this very, very successfully, and you'll see why. She has been called the Red Tornado. She likes to wear red, and she talks quickly, but totally understandable, albeit with a French accent. She has spoken at some of our live meetings in the past, in Paris, of course, but also in Zurich, Switzerland, and I believe Geneva also, but definitely in Zurich, where she addressed our corporate meeting at Novartis and Roche, and we just had wonderful experiences learning from Christine Morlet. She's a professional speaker, a trainer of executives on how to speak professionally, particularly in a tense situation, how to hold on to your audience, how to make an audience feel comfortable. This is Christine Morlet, and you're going to see her in action in just a moment. Co-hosting with me today is Stephen Howard, who's now based in Mexico City. Stephen has written 21 books about business and focusing in on leadership. And you're going to see why he has that knack of production. So my God, so much work he has done and continues to this day. So Stephen Howard, Caliente Consulting, Caliente Leadership. Caliente, as you might know from Spanish, means hot, and it's a hot topic. Leadership in the post-COVID world. The pandemic has changed everyone and everything, including in business. So we're going to learn about those things from Stephen Howard and Christine Morlet, and I'll be joining the program in a little bit. Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Welcome, everybody. This is Stephen Howard. I'm the host today for our Thrive XL show. Thrive is all about helping leaders improve themselves, develop themselves, and help them develop their team members. And the XL basically stands for we want to help people live extra large. So welcome to Thrive XL. We have a very special guest today from the southern part of France near Monaco named Christine Morley. So Christine, welcome very much to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for making me feel so welcome. And my name is Morlet, just like Chevrolet.
Just like Chevrolet. There we go. So we should be able to get that one right. So we were talking before this, and Christine has a wonderful background and a wonderful nickname. So it's called the Red Tornado. So Christine, tell us a little bit about how you got the Red Tornado name.
Red Tornado, it was my first nickname when I was a young entrepreneur. I started my first business, I was 28, and it was an event marketing agency based in the northeast side of France, near Strasbourg, not far from Germany. And each Friday evening, I was organizing an event, a networking event. People didn't really know and understand what was networking, really. But I've always been a link maker, this was my passion, to link people together. And I was even having the surname of La Marieuse, which meaning the marrier, the one who would marry people together.
Okay.
And so during these events, we were serving a couple of drinks. People would have toasts and talk with one another. And we were introducing, just to give you the metaphor, we were introducing people who would manufacture the socks, the people who would color the socks, and the people who would sell the socks.
Okay.
So it would be a kind of a business link making. Mm-hmm. And I even really married people together in real life, because people also met at these events and fell in love with one another.
Wow.
And that was the reason why my name was the Red Tornado. That company ended mid-90s, and just after the first Bush war. We had one of our customers who let us down with 6 times the amount of the money we brought to the company. So it was very tough.
So you were LinkedIn. You were LinkedIn before there was LinkedIn. That's
right. And so I stepped into another company who was based in Glasgow, and I did actually 5 world tour, teaching, coaching, and helping entrepreneurs become better influencers and have international negotiating skills. So this is how actually also I met Ed, because he recognized me as being really an influencer and a very good negotiator. I would do also very, very much lobbying. When you are a link maker, it's not very difficult to lobby, to jump from. Okay. It's a bridge between link making and lobbying with people. And I stayed in that company until I stepped there 1997, and then 2003 I stopped with them because I had a first burnout. And I was doing the 35 hours in 2.5 days. So I was working, I'm a passionate person.
Yes.
And my advice to people who are listening to us is just, if you are passionate, be careful that your passion doesn't overload you, because sometimes this is what happens, and this is what happened to me. And so it took me 1 year to recover, and then I created another company. And I did a couple of world tour again, advising people, making lots of consulting and consulting on influencing skills and international negotiating skills. And one day, it was mid-July 2008, I was surfing on the web, searching for something else, something bigger, something higher. You see, I was kind of, I wouldn't say fed up with my job, but I had done the circle of it. You see, I had done what needed to be done, and I was looking for something bigger. And here I find this group of people who were buying their tickets to the NSA, National Association Speakers Association Convention in New York, which was called NSA Rocks, because you can imagine how big it was. So that was mid-July, and the next day we had our 4 tickets, me, my husband, and our 2 kids, to New York. It was my first time ever in the United States. We stepped at JFK. It was August the 1st, 2008. And I had reserved a limousine, a limo. I had never actually seen a limo in my life. I was, and the back was so tight that we couldn't get all the suitcase inside. So we had to take the suitcase inside of the limo, because it was not big enough for all the suitcases that we had with the 2 kids, me and my husband. It was so amazing. And we were having lots of fun. And so we had to Marriott Marquis, Times Square, where I stepped into that enormous ballroom with 2,999 other speakers or aspiring speakers attending the National Speakers Association conference. And this is what you guys call the wow factor. Wow, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to become. I want to become a public professional speaker. And I made my decision on that day, on that particular day, listening to people like Les Brown, who you probably know, enormous speakers. I mean, Tony Robbins, Gina Robertson, enormous speakers, Orwell Ray Wilson, who became my coach, by the way. And I made my decision on that day to become the first French professional speaker with the designation, the award Certified Speaking Professional. And that means having done 100 keynotes over a 5-year period of time for at least 25 customers who give you a notation. Customer judge you, not your peers, customer judge you. And if you don't get 7.5 out of 10, you are fired. So it's just like, and you need to have 32 business education credits in order to prove that you're still at the highest standards, that you keep yourself up, always, doing some research and doing your best to be at the best of the best. And so this is what I received. I could actually share a couple of photos. I mean, if I had known, I would have prepared those photos where you see me, in the middle of that small group of the class of 2012, certified speaking professional with all the medals around my neck, Right. And I was so proud of getting this. And I was the first French speaker, and we're only 4 of us now. And there are actually approximately 7% out of 15,000 speakers who do have that designation, which is a very high designation. Right. And so this gave me the authority to create the first professional speaking school in France in 2012. And this is what I've been doing. I've been helping people, thrive and roar when they speak. and an enormous lot of women, because women have what you guys call the impostor syndrome, you know. That's terrible. That's really terrible. And I use something that's quite amazing and different from other coaches. I use energetic healing. Like sometimes, you know, the throat, the chakra here of throat is just locked. It's locked down. And so we need to open up. And so I do then the protocol, a special protocol to unlock and to unleash the potential. And it works actually very well.
Mm-hmm.
I have a specific protocol. And, you know, everything's energy, you know, Stephen, everything's energy around you. You know, we can actually heal people. I do actually give some healing also online. I had a woman from Los Angeles a couple of days ago who was feeling very bad, and I healed her actually. I mean, this is something that I've been doing because it's a gift that I have for 5 generations of women in my family.
Okay, great. Why do you think so many people are afraid of public speaking? I mean, here you show up in a ballroom of 3,000 people and decide to become a speaker, but other people are just, I always read that's one of people's biggest fears is getting in front of an audience. Why is that?
Well, it's, I think it's the second fear after the fear of dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's because I think people fear to be judged. They fear that you know what they don't know how to do with their hands. Mm-hmm. And many men actually, they put their hands in their pocket, you know, yes, which is wrong.
Right.
Or they do this, you know, which is also very wrong. And I think the fright of judgment is the first fright. Mm-hmm. And another fright they have is to get lost in translations, like, you know, lose their words, needing to learn this by memory, by heart, which is totally wrong. Actually, the advice I can give to our listeners is to actually speak your speech. Don't write it, because it's very difficult to go from writing to oral to speaking. So you should map your speech first. You should have a road map, you know, in your brain that you structure before. And you put this roadmap on your flip chart, and then you start speaking your speech. And then you record yourself. And then you do just like raspberry jelly, you know. You take all the bits out just to get the juice.
Okay. How about storytelling? Do you think storytelling is an important part of public speaking? Part.
Well, storytelling is a very good way to actually open a speech. The advice I would give for storytelling is to use at least 3 of the 5 senses. You know, the VACO, visual, visual, auditive, kinesthetic,
smelling,
olfactive, and gustative, right?
Right.
And this, when you actually talk about a story, when you tell a story, you must put at least 3 of those 5 senses. Like I do have my signature story. This is why people recognize you as a professional speaker. When they hear this story, they say, this is Morlet Chevrolet story. You know, like my story is February the 14th, 1967. I'm 5 years old, and it's minus 15 degrees Celsius, which I don't know Fahrenheit, but it's very
cold. It's cold, whatever.
It's very cold. And I go to school with my heavy bag, you know, the leather bag that the one below 20 don't know about because they're too young. And then I walk and I pass by this wonderful bakery where I feel this chocolate cookie smell, you know. Can you smell it, the chocolate cookie, you know? And I want one chocolate cookie. I want to eat one of those every day, but my parents are quite, they don't want us to eat a chocolate cookie every day, and I can't afford it. we would get it maybe once or twice a month, but I would want one of those chocolate cookies every day.
Every day.
So I was walking there, feeding the chocolate cookie morning, and then getting back, feeding the chocolate cookie after school. And then one day, there's a decision I make. I put my hand in my pocket and I get out 0.20 cent of French franc, and the chocolate cookie would cost 50. And then I say to myself, I look at this coin and I step into the bakery and say, you have the most amazing chocolate cookie from the whole town. And if you let me have this one for 20 instead of 50, I will tell all my friends, I will tell all their mothers and fathers, and they would come and buy the chocolate cookie at your place. And it worked. You know, it worked.
Excellent.
I never paid more than 20 cents. And after a while, everyone would get there to buy the chocolate cookies there. And I would not pay, and I would get one from myself, one from my little brother every day, just like a real guts I am, you know.
Right.
I'm a real Ron. And that's my signature story. And my signature story is that if you don't ask, if you don't dare to ask, you don't get.
You don't get.
And this is my opening from my speech. Why do good negotiators get what they desire?
Excellent.
And that's one way. That's the storytelling way, you see. Yeah. And so I showed you how I increased the senses, you know, three of the senses, the olfactive, the gustative, the freezing thing. Yeah. Everything was there for the people just to be inside of the story within the first 20 seconds. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And you were an influencer even back then. Even at 5 years old, you became an influencer.
Well, that's in my DNA.
I guess so.
I'm a negotiator. Since I was 5 years old, it's in my DNA. Yeah. And that's my first way of opening a speech. The other way, when I face, you know, more kind of entrepreneurs, you know, more kind of serious people, I do it like this. I say, 90% of negotiators don't ask. And then I say, why? Why is that? First reason is that they don't know what they want. Okay. Second reason is they don't dare to ask.
Right.
Third reason is they build themselves here, a little scenario where they fail already. And they don't ask anyway. And I'm here to share the secrets, the 3 top secrets of best negotiators in the world, you see, and how you can actually give and get. And when you give, you never give without getting something back in return.
Right.
You see, that's 2 ways of opening for the people, the leaders who would want to learn how to open their speech. One way is the storytelling, as you mentioned, and the other way is facts and figures. And there's a third way is a quote. You see, a lot of people use a quote also to open their speech.
That's one of my favorite ways. I love quotes.
Yeah. Which one do you like the most?
I love a quote that Robert Kennedy, when he was running for president of the United States before he was assassinated, used to say to the crowd, says, I look out at the world and a lot of people look at the world and they wonder why. I look at the world and I ask, why not? So he was always thinking about possibilities. And, you know, this is in the mid 60s and the civil riots, things and how America was changing at the time. And so I love that quote. Just be optimistic. Look for the possibilities. Ask why not? Why not do it this way? So that's one of my other really favorite quote comes from a woman who was the vice admiral in the United States Navy, because I teach leadership and I write books on leadership. And so her quote is one I deeply believe in. And she says, you manage things and you lead people. And her name is Grace Murray Hopper, and she was a vice admiral in the U.S. Navy. So, and I tell people, you don't manage people, you have to lead people. You manage things.
That's right. That's right. You are recognized, Stephen, as a one of the best speaker on leadership, right?
Well, thank you very much. I don't know if I like to think so. Certainly, like yourself, have done a lot of keynote speeches over the years. And one of the things I learned, and I want to ask you about this, because whether you're a leader in an organization who has to say the same talk over and over, or whether you're going to be an entrepreneur and give public speeches, is how do you not get bored with it? I mean, how many times have you told that beautiful story? How do you not get bored? I mean, your passion came through even now telling it to me just over the Zoom call here. Many people get bored with their stories. How do you teach people not to be bored with their stories and give a good delivery every time?
Is always to project themselves in the story. Mm-hmm. You know, is to look further, is to look deeper or higher, depending on where you are.
Okay, great.
Is always to say to yourself, there's an opportunity behind this. You know, when you meet someone, just like we meet today, Stephen, there's an opportunity behind this. And when you think about the opportunity, you never get ever bored. Never.
That's great. And the tip I'll share with our audience is one I learned that came from the famous British stage actor, Sir John Gielgud. And he was asked a similar question. He says, I have to remember no matter how many times I've played this particular character on stage, for the audience, it's their first time. And so he put himself in the minds of the audience, realizing it's going to be the first time that they've heard that. So in your case, it's be the first time they've heard your story, or in my case, the first time they've heard one of my stories to illustrate a point. But, very good.
Do you have a signature story?
I do have one, particularly around communications. I have, it's about a gentleman comes home, and he's tired, he's worn out, been working all day putting out the fires, and his little 5-year-old comes up to him and says, "Daddy, Daddy," and he hugs him around the leg, and he looks down to him and says, "Hi, son, how are you?" And the little boy looks up to him and says, "Daddy, where does poo come from?" And, the father thinks, okay, the kid's 5 years old. He's old enough. I might as well explain this. And so he starts going into, son, when we eat, we digest our food. We use it for energy. We use it for building muscles. It's going to help you grow big and strong. And, what we don't use in our bodies, we get rid of. And if it's water, we call it urine. And if it's solid, we call it poo. And the little kid's totally confused and looks up at the father and says, "But then where does Tigger and Eeyore come from?" And so now you realize the son was talking about Winnie the Pooh, the character, the children's story. And the father was, he was on this business mode, and he hadn't switched to parent mode. And to understand that when you communicate with someone, when you listen, you have to get on the same level, same field as them.
Yeah.
So as a leader, you might have 20 years experience, and somebody with 2 years experience asks you a question. You can't answer that with your 20 years. You have to get down.
That's true.
Why are they asking this question? Why is it so relevant to them as a 2-year-old? So
this is so true. I use a metaphor. When I teach people how to structure a speech, actually, I use a metaphor, and I use one of your guys' American favorite metaphor. It's a burger.
Okay.
Nice cheeseburger, right?
Right.
In a nice burger, you have this one here that needs to be uploading all the stuff that's on it, right?
Right, okay.
So this is the opening, and it has to be tough. It has to be really strong, right?
There you go.
Then you have the mayonnaise that leads to the promise, to why should people listen to you? Because if you don't tell them why they should listen to you and what are you going to talk about, they won't listen to you. And then you have the first slice of meat in the burger, which is the first point you want to develop and explain. And then you illustrate, and that's the slide of salad or tomato in the middle. Illustration. And then you have the transition to the second piece of meat, which is the second piece of meat inside the burger, which is the other explanation and the other point you want to make.
Right.
Which, with an explanation, another slice of salad and tomato. Okay. And then you have sauce to the third piece of meat, right? And then you have the ham, which is the transition to the conclusion. And the conclusion is the top of the burger. And that makes the people want to eat another one. It's a triple burger. The problem is that people don't make double or triple burgers. They make quadruple, quintuple, sextuple burgers, and nobody wants to eat it because it's so indigest.
It's so
and that's a nice metaphor. People always remember that metaphor. It's one of my favorite story to use it, and I use it a lot in my keynotes online or in America. Is remember, when you want to structure a speech, just think about a good burger.
Okay.
And this is 1, 2, 3, transition to conclusion, and that's it, you see. And to be more inclusive in what you just said, people don't understand the same thing as you say, is there are 4 different preferences in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
You have the people who ask the question, what are we going to talk about? These are the ones that need the promise in your speech, remember?
Right.
You have the people who are asking themselves, how does it work? And this is why they need the explanation part in the burger. Okay.
Right.
You have people that are asking themselves, who is she? Where does she come from? And this is why you should start always with the emotion, with the first piece of the burger, emotional piece. Okay, because you should start with a quote or with a storytelling to have them understand who you really are. So you answer those people whose question favorite is who, and then you have the why, which is a why, what for, why or why not. You see, so that brings it more to the future and to the metaphor. So actually, the good way to have the burger is to have emotion, then the what for the benefits you give, to the people, why should they listen to you?
Mm-hmm.
The how, the explanation, the why, that's a kind of link to the right brain. That's more kind of having a PowerPoint with a nice picture or a metaphor.
Right.
And then you should always get back to the who. So the emotion. So it's a 5-step.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
What about when you close your talk, the summary? How important is that do you think? And what tips do you have for people to leave on a really solid note at the end of a presentation?
Well, I think a good way, to have a conclusion is to have a pre-conclusion where you actually summarize what you've said. You know, that just like the good teachers, you tell them what you're going to tell them, right? Tell them, and then tell them what you told them, right?
Okay.
So this is what I call the pre-conclusion. Okay. And then usually I love the call to action. When I have my speech on what makes a speaker a good speaker, or why do good speakers always get what they want, I have a clause which is a call to action. And I tell them there's 3 important things, in speaking. First, what do you want them to retain or to memorize?
Right.
Second, how do you want them to feel? How do you want to make them feel? Third, what do you want them to do? What is the call to action? And I use this actually, and I've done this all around the world. I have people stand up, a real call to action. And then I say, hey, we're going to do a dancing. And so I put some music on and I say, okay, what do we want people to memorize? How do you want the people to feel? And what would you want them to do? You see, and people will always memorize this because it's a call to action. It's an emotional call to action. You see? And so when you get emotional in the conclusion, that's what I just said. A conclusion must always be emotional. You can also end with a quote or with a nice story, with a that leads to the point you really want them to retain. But the call to action with dancing, I love it because people just enjoy it so much. Just what you want them to memorize, how do you want them to feel about you, and what you want them to do. That's great,
Well, that was actually my next question. If you had ever heard of that, the feel, do, and think, and so. But I love that again. For the audience here, you see the way Christine demonstrate that as a speaker. I mean, that just becomes so vulnerable. What do you want people to think? What do you want people to feel? What do you want people to do? And I think I'll take that away from this. I may copy that off you. I'll give you credit for it.
You can just give me credit for this.
I'll give you credit.
This is what I demonstrate. This is my call for action, and this is great because you always choose a music that people don't know. A non-memorable music, because then you don't have to pay for it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. And also a music that's very engaging. So there are tons of music you can find online that people, are available. So choose a very nice and memorable music for them to memorize, because they will memorize the music, they will memorize the gesture.
The gestures, yeah.
and then everything will make your speech really memorable. They want you back. Yeah. They want you then to come back in their organization to speak, which is, as a speaker, this is what we want. We want our customers to get us back for other speeches or for counseling or for advising them, because becoming a speaker is always a triangle. You see, it's just like this. It's a triangle. Here you have speaking. Here you have book selling or online courses.
Right.
And here you have advisory or counseling or, what you coach or things like that. It's always a triangle.
Right.
I only know 1% of speakers worldwide who earn money only from speaking.
Yeah, everyone else is either writing books or giving online courses.
It's a business model.
It is, of course. Yeah,
it's a business model. So what I would like entrepreneurs to memorize is that if you speak, even if you're not a professional speaker, if you do speak, it will increase your online product, and it will increase your services, your direct one-on-one services or whatsoever. But if you don't speak, then you don't push it. you don't use this. And it's an incredible way to be more visible, to speak.
Excellent. Last question for you, Christine, and because I know you deal a lot in the international market, and the world's becoming smaller and smaller, and people are having to speak to multicultural groups. What is your advice for somebody who is speaking, again, whether it's in an organization like at a town hall meeting or on the platform as a keynote speaker? What's your best tips for when you have a multicultural or even a multi-generational audience?
The cultural dimension of international business.
Okay. Gary,
that's one of my favorite books. Okay. And also have a book named Cultural Code.
Yes.
Like, let me just give you another story of how things can happen to speakers who are new to the profession. Like, I was giving a keynote in front of a group of Canadians, but French Canadians, in Quebec.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And as I'm still a teacher, a speaker for students, at university. And I was talking about my kids. My children's, les gosses, les gosses, les enfants. And, les gosses for Canadians means the bulls. So
okay.
Actually, this is something I had totally ignored. I mean, I didn't know that when you were talking about les gosses, les enfants, les gosses, you were talking about actually a certain part of the anatomy of a man.
Right.
Actually, this is very important. You should always ask people who you're going to speak to. You should ask to the organizer also about the company culture. Because, each and every company has their own culture, and they have sometimes topic that they don't want to erase. So you must do the research. That's my advice. I'm sure that you know this, Stephen, because you're a good speaker also and leader. I mean, you must just spend time, not do like speakers who came off the plane, go and speak and then go back to the plane. You must spend time with the customer before and after, to get the chance to know them, to know the audience, and spend time with the audience, to come at least 2 hours before and get the chance to know the audience. And make yourself a couple of friends who you ask to stand on the front row. So when you get lost, you can then put your eyes into their eyes to recover the self-confidence.
And I totally agree with the research. I often talk to, whether it's a conference organizer or the person at the company who's engaged me, and sometimes I even bounce a story off them. I mean, that Winnie the Pooh story, it works really well in North America because and in England, because people, children grow up with Winnie the Pooh, but in other cultures it doesn't work because they don't know that story. They don't know that character. They know who Tigger and Eeyore are. So at the end, the story falls flat. So I highly recommend people just, whoever's engaging you, is sometimes go ahead and practice your story on them, or just tell them, I have a story about this. Is it appropriate? And make sure.
Yeah. And even about the key points. I mean, I often ask my customer, I have actually a pre kind of survey that I send before, where I ask the customer their favorite topics, and on the major topic they want me to talk about, which is influence or negotiation or whatsoever. If they have any story, any success story, because people love to hear about their own success stories from the speaker who's on stage. And so that's really something I use very often. I use the customer's success story. And I think it's good because it means that you really care for your customer, and caring for others is something that's very valuable, isn't it?
It is, and sometimes speakers just think, well, I'm the showman. People are paying me to come on stage and do my shtick and whatever. And no, they want you to connect. They want that connection point. They want you to understand who they are, to be part of them. And the other tip I'd have for people also is if Find out how the names of everyone in the organization is pronounced. If you're the person who introduces you, the person who the speaker who follows you, whatever it is, or if you're going to refer to somebody, like for our audience today, like Christine and I were talking before we started recording, I asked her, is it Morley or Morlet? And she says it's Morley, like in Chevrolet. So again, I can remember that. So you want to, you don't want to mispronounce people's names from the.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And if you don't ask, you'll get confused.
You want to be careful when you use people's own organization story that it doesn't affect anyone.
Yeah.
Because sometimes also some stories that you think would be good, and you use the people's first name in the story. When I do that, I always change the people's first name.
Yes.
So they don't think we talk about themselves.
Right.
If I deal with management issues, I will have Sophia on one hand and Martin on the other hand,
right.
And I will have them speak with other voices. Martin will go, "Hey, what are you doing today?" And then, "No, I'm not good."
Yeah.
That's a way of inviting people and not telling their names so they don't recognize themselves, because this is really it's offending them otherwise.
Great.
This is our friend's book right here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better decision, better thinking, better outcomes. That's your book.
That's my book. Yeah, one of my books.
That's good. That's good. So about the brain also, huh?
About the brain,
yeah.
About getting emotionally hijacked. And then this is a book that my girlfriend wrote. It's called "When Strong Women Speak, Strong Women Listen." So it's a bunch of quotes.
Okay.
You like quotes?
So, I do have two also. These are my two books here. You can show this online.
There you go. Yeah, excellent. All right.
Yeah, that's how to become a professional speaker at Duno, which is the best professional editor, and how to pitch in 7 seconds.
How do you give your life story and the most important thing in 7 seconds?
Well, your life story in 7 seconds is not. It's not what it's meant for. Actually, the 7 second pitch is more to kind of have the listener goes like, "I want to know more." It's not the same goals. Like the 7 second pitch is, I am first name, last name, function if necessary. I help target group who has issues, problems, obtain benefit. I am brand. So it gives, I'm Christine Morley, like Chevrolet. I'm a speech coach and a keynote speaker. I help entrepreneurs who really suffer from impostor syndrome, who don't know what to do with their hands when they talk, who get lost in translations, to become really memorable. I am the positive influence specialist.
And that leads to my favorite question. Tell me more.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly what the second pitch is for. It's to, hey, tell me more.
Tell me more.
Well, so this is really important today because a lot of younger people who are in business don't have those skills.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. But you know what's the most important, and they mostly, not always, they mostly forget it, is the suffering part. Like, I am first name, last name, function is okay. I help target group is okay, mostly. Who have issues, problems. You see the target group entrepreneurs. If I speak in front of women entrepreneur and I say I help women entrepreneur who have issues, problems, that's really important. And this is what should be always inside the pitch, because what resonates is what people have pain with. You see? And I'm sure, Stephen, that you agree with me. This is what really resonates. Hey, I recognize myself in not knowing where to put my hands when I speak. I recognize myself my voice shivering when I speak. I recognize myself getting lost in my notes and translations. I recognize myself here. This is where you will actually connect with the people. And this is the most important part of a pitch, is the fear, is the pain, the issues that people have that you can solve.
And if you don't mention that pain, then we don't see you as a solution provider. And so
yeah, I mean, they hear the solution, but it doesn't resonate.
Exactly.
You see, and that's the reason why I know Ed loves that. We've been doing this many times. I mean, it's really very, very efficient. And this is in what's in that book here.
The 7-second pitch.
The 7-second pitch here was released in 2018. And I wish I would have an editor who would translate it into English.
No. Wow, that could be done, couldn't it? I mean,
we could do that.
Yeah. Google Translate anyway.
Yeah.
It would be great. I think people would have advantage of getting that. Did you listen to my last, the Red Tornado? You did? Yeah,
the Red Tornado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
And you're in red today too.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah, this is something also I advise the customers when they do webinars, is, when you wear warm colors like this is a warm color. It brings all the warm colors out of your skin.
Well, sure, look at my wall behind me.
Well, but you both wearing black, which is not what I would advise you if you do webinars, is to wear, warm colors like pink or that type of red and orange, because it makes a big difference.
Yeah,
it does.
We want the attention on you today, not on us.
I mean, but it's a great advice also to people who do webinars.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, we had Diane Devitt, the media coach, on a couple of times, and she was talking about blues, different shades of blue, as a peaceful, calming kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's also true. But what you want on webinars, you want to engage people, and so you want them to be lively, and you want to engage them. So the shade of blue is nice, but it's nice for meditation.
So you suggest reddish and oranges, or what?
Yes, reddish and oranges, but I don't suggest mandatory to wear it. You can also take it like this and put it just like this underneath, you see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it makes a difference as well. If you have something red or dark red or rose or whatsoever, and if you're a man, if you don't want to wear those colors, you can wear the blue, but you have this red here, and it will reflect on your face.
What's your website address? If you want to share your email address, how do people contact you after this?
Well, they can have a look at Morlet, just like Chevrolet on LinkedIn.
Okay.
That's a good way to actually address me. They can also DM me on Instagram, Christine Morlet, all attached, Morlet, and I'll get a DM message, and I can get a message from LinkedIn as well.
Okay, excellent. Well,
I have Christine-Morlet.com, which is my website. But the main thing, I think LinkedIn is good because you get lots of things that is not said of the website. For instance, you have people who give you referral on LinkedIn. And that's very good, because if you go and have a look at the LinkedIn profile, you see all the referrals from customers.
Right.
Okay. And remember that I do some energetic healing as well. So this is also available. I mean, you can also DM me on Instagram or LinkedIn, whatever.
Excellent. Well, Christine, the goal of our Thrive XL show is to have an engaging conversation about issues important to leaders in today's new world. And I think we've accomplished that today. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for all the insights. And
You're welcome. I mean, it's been a great pleasure speaking with you, Stephen. I mean, it's a pleasure knowing you, and I hope that we get the chance to know each other better in the next show.
Where we will, and I'll reach out to you on LinkedIn this afternoon. So thank you very much. Everyone, this has been Thrive XL, and thank you very much. And if you like the show, hit the little subscribe button below, and we look forward to having you engage one of our future shows. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's catch up soon.
Au revoir.
Goodbye.
Au revoir. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.